It's a deeply rooted relationship that goes back centuries. And I feel connected to history when I'm in a cafe to have a cup of coffee and I'm conversing with friends and peers and like-minded individuals and exchanging ideas. Because in its essence, that's what birthed the coffee shop in the first place. You know, it's used as a vessel and as a tool to communicate with other people and to exchange thoughts. Anytime I step into a cafe, I feel that presence and I feel that history.
My friend and I went to Lyle Bay, the shopping area, to go to a warehouse to get some Lego or something, and we decided to stop by Mint Cafe. This is probably when I was about 12 or 13. Had no idea what coffee was. And then me and my mate just walk into that cafe and ask for 2 espressos. And then I remember them literally turning to us and going, "Are you sure about that?" And I was like, we're like, "Yeah. Yeah." And then we just get given these 2 tiny little cups with coffee in them, and it was absolutely disgusting. I really hated it. I wasn't the smartest student, essentially, and so I did a subject called Gateway, which is when you go and work at like a industry that you're interested in for 1 day a week instead of going to school. And all my friends were kind of getting into uni and all that stuff, but I wasn't, and so I was getting a bit nervous about what I was going to be doing when I finished school. Yeah, at the start I thought it was just going to be a temporary thing. It was quite, in a way, it was just to kind of make sure that my mum wasn't getting too angry at me for not having anything to move into after school. I kind of delved into it and then could see that I did have a bit of a knack for making coffees, so I decided to stick with it. It kind of came from an interest and then sparked into a passion.
Kind of a bit of a blur. It's on like my 16, 17, 18-year-old days, and I guess like we kind of met through parties and being in the same kind of circles as such. So like it was more like hanging out. We weren't like super close back then, but a lot of my good friends were good friends with Tait, so we kind of grew a relationship through them. We became closer, both worked at Mojo. He kind of was like ahead of me, maybe a good like 2 years in the coffee scene. He kind of like taught me a lot, so like he took me for like little coffee lessons after work and stuff like that, and would show me how to like run the machine. But I've been around hospitality my whole life. Like I grew up in it, have a background with parents who ran businesses in Wellington, so I was kind of like always around the scene. From growing up, like literally in the backs of kitchens and like in a big restaurant, like that kind of excited me. It was cool to see my family doing something that to me at the time was like super crazy. Like, we had this big restaurant that was always full, and I guess I was kind of diverted away from it a little bit just because of like, how hard it can be being an owner and having to control like that environment and stuff all the time, and being around it all the time can be quite difficult. It was always Tait's idea to do a cafe. He was looking more to do his own thing, where I was looking just to change.
For me, there was like definitely cool coffee shops that were like my goals to get to. I worked at Mojo for 2.5, almost 3 years, and it took me a while to kind of like realize that there's other kind of independent coffee shops out there where you could work more alongside the owner and stuff like that. Then I moved to an independent cafe after that because I wanted to start getting more of an idea on how like the coffee works from a owner-operator point of view. I could never save money. I spent my paycheck every week. And so from that in itself, it did pretty much make me think I couldn't do anything extra in those situations. But I went to a music festival, the 121 festival out at POW Studios, and Fat Freddy's Drop were playing. and I was in the mosh with a few of my friends, and then a couple of my friends pulled me aside and then were like, essentially they said, we think you should start your own thing. And then that was kind of the switch in my brain that I didn't know I needed. Essentially, it just changed my whole mindset from thinking I'm just going to work for someone to I could actually pull something off here. There were sites around town where I'd walk past and go, if I could ever have that spot, I would, do this and do that. And then, it kind of just happened by chance. I was having a meeting with someone down the road from the Swimsuit on Dixon Street about a potential opportunity, and it didn't go very well. And so I left there quite heated. And I walked past Dixon Street, and then the old owner of Memphis Bell was there, and then I vented to him, and then he was kind of like, well, I'm pretty keen to move on, so this could be the opportunity. And that site was like my dream spot. It was like pretty crazy for that to happen. Probably about 10 years prior to that, some good family friends of mine said that if I ever want to try and open a cafe, they might be able to help me out. And so 10 years later, I went knocking on their door and said, hey, I might have a opportunity that I'd be keen to chat about with you. And so when this opportunity came up, I was a bit nervous doing it by myself. So I messaged Willie and said, do you want to have a chat? The previous tenant pretty much had to convince the landlord to let me go in there because they didn't give out tenancies to first-time tenants. There's a lot of winging it going on. Everyone's pretty much winging it. So I didn't know about insurance or building code or consents or HR or any of this kind of stuff. All I knew how to do was just to make coffee. But I knew how I could do it well. And so as long as I could do it well, then I was hoping that everything could follow and catch up. So yeah, the first kind of, while of Swimsuit, there was no figuring out what the budget's like. It was just looking at the bank and being like, oh yeah, it's all good, let's carry on.
To step into actual business and be involved in something permanent in Wellington, I guess, was a little bit daunting in terms of realizing that this is going to be a lot of work, and also we're only 20, 24 kind of years old, 25, and it's just is this where we want to situate ourselves going forward? We always made decisions together from the start, and I guess we just gelled really nicely.
We work really well together because of our brains being slightly different, I think. I guess I'm more of the one that's running after ideas, trying to find new bits and bobs that we could be doing, and then Willie's more the level-headed kind of guy that will figure out if it will work. From working in the previous cafe that I worked in before Swimsuit, it was a very specialty coffee grade, very hip coffee shop. Over time, I did notice that it can be quite intimidating for new coffee drinkers to come into. And so for me, I was trying to make a space that felt more inviting.
We put a lot of care into the atmosphere that you walk into when you walk into Swimsuit. It's a crucial part of the space and enjoying yourself while you're here.
Essentially, we wanted to soften the whole environment and vibe of a cafe. We got little curved routing on the edges here. Back at the bar is also circular there. And then the paint color, we use a pistachio kind of paint, and big artwork. We like to do lots of artwork in the cafes.
Is that your design on the coffee cup there?
This one?
Yeah.
It's actually my friend Jeremy designed that at school friend of mine, which I don't know if you guys know, but that's actually half a bikini bottom. So if the other half was there. Yeah.
A swimsuit.
Swimsuit. It's a swimsuit. Yeah.
Tait has a background with his family and sound and stuff like that. So he was always quite passionate about like having good speakers. You know, it's an important thing. It's like it fills the space and it surrounds, you know, everyone's like kind of vibe is kind of set off the music, whether like you notice that or you don't. We'll control the music a bit more than you would at most normal like cafes. The music levels will go up and down throughout the day depending on the flow of people, and like the song tempo might pick up or slow down, you know, to increase like just the energy of the team, but that also is just matching like the atmosphere that's running through the room. When the music drops out, it's a nightmare. Yeah. There's tech issues on the music. It's like drop everything and suss that, because there's nothing worse than a completely silent cafe.
You know, if the cafe's full and everyone's enjoying themselves and the music's pumping, you know, it's just like this really cool feel. We just like to emphasize the energy. So like when it gets really, really busy, like stressfully busy, we'll like, you know, turn the music up a little bit. And then that kind of, in a way, puts on a bit of a show for the customer. Like, because we're kind of almost running around like headless chickens, but it's controlled chaos. Sometimes, most of the time. Sometimes it's not. We like to put a show on for people when they come in to Swimsuit, and by doing that, like, we're leveling up the vibe. Oddisee's got like some great music for cafes, eh? Beauty and all. When I worked at Lamison a while back, he was pretty much on the daily rotating that album. It's just a great instrumental album.
Let me translate for y'all. I go by the name of Oddisee. My real name is Amir. I'm Sudanese American. My father from Sudan, my mother Black American from Washington, D.C.
I started releasing instrumental records for several reasons. As an independent artist, it's difficult to make a living, right? So my ethos was, I'm not afraid to be put in a box, just put me in as many boxes as possible. There are so many similarities between music culture and coffee culture. There's a level of elitism, there's a level of gatekeeping, and those things you can see the similarities in. I think with both, even in particular hip hop and coffee culture, we don't necessarily do a good job on educating the masses on why you should want this expensive cup or why you should listen to this style of music in comparison to this one. Because you have to have the palate for both. Till this day, my father can't stand the way I drink coffee, you know? And we grew up drinking coffee. I guess you'd call it the equivalent of Turkish coffee or Ethiopian coffee. It's spiced, you know, it's poured without a filter. It's heavy on the sugar. And the way I drink it, my dad's just not into it. And I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and it's not his thing. Without the palate, you can't necessarily appreciate it. And I don't know how easy it is, the entry level, to get into either or, you know? And I've always done my best to make that level of entry as accessible as possible.
Hospitality is super hard. These products are luxury items, but it's a bit like, you know, if someone's getting a coffee every day of the week and it goes up in price, it's gonna annoy them. But for us to pay our staff well and for us to keep paying rent, essentially, you know, it does take a lot of selling these $6 coffees to cover those costs. And because we sell 85% coffee and 15% food, like, we need to be selling a lot of coffees to be able to cover those kind of costs. And so, yeah, it sucks when you have to put the price up. It really does. But like, it would suck more if we had to close the business because we can't afford to pay rent. It's a hard one because, yeah, from the outside, people think, oh, it's $6, you know, that doesn't cost $6 to make, but it really does. So there is a balance there. And I think the perception is getting better. I think people are starting to switch over and start saying, you know, coffee's cheap. Because comparatively, we are cheaper than, say, the UK or say Australia. There's a lot of places overseas which are selling coffees for a lot more price than what we are. Some industries can get away with putting their pricing up because it's almost like they're behind closed doors, you know? And then some industries get a little bit more of a hard time from doing like a 50-cent increase. Power is like a necessity for people, but that goes up in price quite a lot. But because they're not walking into a power shop to get their power, they're not gonna have that interaction with them, you know? I don't know. It's hard. It's the perception. I don't want to get into it, but like, you know, you go to a dairy and buy a packaged coffee for $5. You know, it's almost the same price as a barista-made coffee. So it's, you know, but people are happy to buy that with no customer service interactions. They just buy it. Whereas people have a go at us for, probably don't put this into the documentary. But at the end of the day, we've told the team, you know, we back ourselves, we back our products. It's fine if you want to go down the road and get a cheaper coffee from somewhere else, but they're getting harder and harder to find. We're just still happy that people are coming in and happy to pay the amount that they're paying, because it is a competitive market and we want to price ourselves at the premium end because we do make a premium product and we do put a lot of effort into training our staff to make this product premium.
People think that must be killing it or whatever, but I mean, most of it is just, you know, we're taking on like debt and risk essentially at the end of the day. And we're doing well as a business, but that's, I guess, what people see from the front isn't exactly how it works out in the back. We're in like a little bit of like a down period in terms of Wellington hospitality at the moment with like a lot of lease turnovers and stuff, which is like an interesting and unfortunate time. I think at the end of the day, you know, like everyone wants everyone else to do well and wants to grow like a bigger and greater culture. There's so many people within the Wellington hospitality scene that I've like worked alongside and like got to know over time, and then like it's like, you know, bounce around here, bounce around there, but at the end of the day we're all still within like the same area. We have a lot going on in a relatively small city. Like all the stores are very like walkable between each other. It creates a nice culture in terms of like everyone's like closely related. It's almost like neighbors in a way. You get to know everyone. There's a great space at the moment for young people or anybody to get involved in and help, you know, rebuild a great scene.
I see a lot of similarities with how people are dealing with being a little bit more conservative financially, how people are coming outside again post-COVID. As much as I love going to a coffee shop or a cafe to have a cup, I myself am making coffee at home a lot more. I don't know how we're going to evolve with inflation, with the cost of things, you know? I definitely think cost has a lot to do with cafe culture. I know it does for me personally. It's definitely a price thing. But that makes me cherish the experiences that when I go out even more. They're less, for sure they are less, you know? But the ones that I have, I do tend to stay longer in a shop than I normally would. I tend to have meetings more in cafes than I would previously because it's something that's special.
Even though there's always cost of living crisis and stuff going on, like a cafe, a coffee shop is like the cheapest way to experience hospitality with your friends. And so I think it's quite important for like us to have to provide a space where people can come and, you know, have catch-ups with their old friends, or if they want to come and talk, you know, talk about something more intense, you know, just like, it's just having this space where people can come and converse, you know, in a nice environment that feels like a good community feel. It's something that I'm super passionate about, and people, I think, really appreciate that, especially with the kind of environment and the place that we've made. I don't think we realised how much of an impact that has on people.
I guess that's what a lot of people get out of this, and like why people come to these spaces, because like they're exciting. You don't know who's going to walk in the door. You don't know how people are going to react and stuff like that. Everyone's individual, and like there's obviously a general flow to like every venue, and there's all these exciting elements that can like change the course of a day like so dramatically within like the same space, which I guess is something super unique to hospitality.
Is it weird, cool, crazy that both staff and customers have tattooed your cafe's logo on their body?
Yeah. There's been literally customers that I don't even know that will get a tattoo of it and then walk into the cafe and go, hey, look, guy got a swimsuit tattoo. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
We are going to Swimsuit every Monday morning, so it's like a ritual. We are from Denmark, Spain, France, and we are here with working holiday visa. We met in Wellington, so we said, why not having a matching tattoo? And we say, go for swimsuit logo.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So we got the swimsuit logo now.
I mean, you know, you don't want to endorse it, but like, it's quite funny to get in them, but at the same time, it does show how much people appreciate what we do in the city. We want to keep the community feel going. We want to activate the space. We don't just want to sell coffee, you know. We want to give you an overarching feel of like community and a sense of like belonging in there as well. And so it's great that like someone like Oddisee came down and made all these fans feel like they were part of his kind of like journey, which is real cool to see. We knew of him, and he used to come tour a bit, and we used to just absolutely love going to him. And then we kind of found out that he loved coffee, which is great. So yeah, he started, I don't know, every time he came to Wellington, he would always reach out to me to like go and get a coffee somewhere. And then this time round, came back recently and Madcap put it on, but then reached out to Supreme saying that Oddisee is keen to come down and drink some coffee and meet some fans. So that kind of, in a nutshell, is like kind of what cafes and Swimsuit is about. It's about bringing people down to converse and like meet and have fun and experience really nice coffee.
The idea to think that as a Muslim, as an East African, that many of my ancestors traversed through the deserts, exchanging coffee, making its way to Turkey, making its way into Austria, making its way to early coffee houses, Sufism, and staying up at night and the use of coffee to recite prayer, still have those types of conversations in these types of establishments. I feel connected to it. Ideas of revolution were spawned in coffee shops, in coffee houses, you know, the whispers of revolution, you know, or treason, depending on which side you were on. Those things were birthed, those ideas that radicalism was birthed in coffee houses. And to this day, those things are still there.
But it's pretty crazy that we're managing to get it to the point now where, you know, we've got 16 odd staff and 4 shops.
We got Dixon Street, and then we got Park Road out of Miramar. Then we got this little one down here on Lombard, and then we just took over in Victoria University. They all definitely bring a different clientele and a different vibe, which is like super exciting in terms of having those relationships with like all different types of people. And Dixon's definitely like the little rat bag. And you got your like your newborn suburban baby out in Miramar. And then we got our like YoPro 25-year-old just slipping into his finance job on Lombard Street. Oh, what? And then we got our, I don't know how you describe it, maybe our older faculty members up at Victoria University.
It's just nice seeing the support that we've been getting through the Wellington community, especially as we've been growing. That's been a big worry for us, is like people starting to, you know, write us off as if we're like franchising or selling out or whatever. But for me, like I get itchy feet. Like I need to be challenging myself more and more, because it's such a fast-moving industry, and like it doesn't, you don't really have times to just like stop and reset, which can get quite hard. But yeah, you've really just got to be disciplined in yourself for not burning out or, you know, overworking or any of that kind of stuff, because there's no one telling you to have a break.
It's all about adapting and keeping everything afloat, I guess, and making sure everyone's all good. So yeah, change is hard, and it impacts us greatly across the board in terms of whether it be products or people or location. But I mean, it's also change is a time for excitement and a time for growth. So it's, you know, it's just another challenge that comes part and parcel with operating a business, I guess. I see like a lot of success and joy out of like the things that come out of Swimsuit that isn't like strictly financial. This business is so enjoyable because of like the people that come through it and the people that we serve, and like having that impact on our community just like really keeps me passionate and involved, and like, you know, being able to like look back on what we've done just like always drives me forward to like continue doing what I'm doing. And then at the forefront of all of that, like I just really have like, I find a lot of enjoyment and passion in making just like flat whites essentially. And it's not that long ago either. We ran Dixon Street on the first 2 weeks, just Tait and I, 2 people in there. And now on a busy Saturday, if you don't have 5 in there, it's not going to happen. You don't really just stop at store number 4 and call it quits there. I think it's like, you know, this is where you start moving on to like the bigger, greater picture. So there's almost too much on the cards at the moment in terms of what's exciting, and it's kind of like, where do we go next? And that's another challenge that we're facing is where is the right next step for us, and how do we achieve it? But no, there's always too much going on in this small little business that it's hard not to be excited.
It's still just like Willie and I, like just figuring this out alongside an awesome team of staff. You know, it's still a pretty fun ride. We're just a little bit bigger now.
We have to evolve, to change. Life culture is not stagnant. It's forever moving, it's forever evolving. And there are some of us who are called to preserve things. There are some of us who are called to maintain, and there are some of us who are called to progress. All of those things should exist simultaneously. One shouldn't negate the other, you know? And I don't know why we constantly get into this bout on this supremacy on which one should matter more. You know, everything should be for the sake of progress. No, we must maintain and preserve our ways. And you have to have the two to coexist, you know? And the same thing should be for coffee, should be applied to how we experience coffee.
It's a wild ride, but we're still here, still doing it. And yeah, gonna be doing it for a bit longer, I think. Yeah.
When you told me the truth, even if it really hurt, cause you knew what I was worth. When you let me borrow money that you didn't really have, cause you knew what I was worth. When I was at my worst, you would tell me I would blow when I thought that I would burst. You told me how to help others, and through that discover how to put myself first. And here we are again, just confronting fears. Whether pain or gain is a bunch of tears. Blood, sweat, and tears probably disappear when smoke starts to clear. Their positions near. Pay attention to the folks who are fanning the flames. They're the ones who matter most in the gravity game. When the stakes weigh you down and they stay around to pick up pieces and you off the ground. That's love. That's love. That's love. That's love. Hey, that's love. That's love. That's love. That's love. When you were giving me advice that I seldom ever took, but your head never shook. That's love. Both knowing you were right, never shook a lever right, just gave me that look. That's love. When I had to learn the hard way and you would let me fall, but never did it out of spite. You told me never burn a bridge if you built it and you need it, whether river or brook. And here we are again and across the path. Darwin's our friendship strongest last, but our strength lies in our first thoughts to laugh at the things that bring most hurt hearts to clash. Fought past the bowl, beef bouts and brawls, passing pettiness, blame games and all. Had a few deals, time outs to chill, but knowing when you need space means you feel with love. That's love. That's love. That's love. Hey, that's love. That's love. That's love. That's love. Ooh, we try to tell ourselves that we don't really need it anymore. As if $1 million or the bottom of a bottle or a car, I never cheated it before. So you started with the I don't need it, all I need is money. You can give it to me, but you never get it from me. Yeah, you refuse to play, but you were still in the game. Like it or not, let me explain. Now see, there's a tough kind of too much kind of not enough kind.